Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome. You are being considered for one of the most important jobs that affects our economy, as you know. You have a lot of experience in the work you've done. My view is that trade policy has failed the average American. We've exported jobs in return for importing cheap goods, and it's hollowed out a lot of communities. It's something that President Trump did talk about. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how do you see and what are the specific agreements you'll be working on when you take office?
Thank you, Senator, and I appreciate your sentiments on trade policy, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Right out the gate, I expect that we will be taking a second look at the USMCA. It's something that's mandated by the agreement, and as part of that review, I'm supposed to go to the public and get their views. I'm supposed to go to Congress and talk to you about your views.
At the moment, what's your assessment of how that has worked out? That was, of course, negotiated during the Trump administration.
Sure. So in some areas, it has driven, for example, expanded automotive production in North America and the United States, which is beneficial. I know that the Biden administration has taken steps to look at labor conditions in Mexico, and I know that a lot of our ag community was very happy to get secure continued and in some cases expanded ag market access. But there are problems too.
What role do you see tariffs playing in our trade policy?
So with respect to tariffs and trade policy, we need to create incentives to produce in America, and we need to create incentives to get market access overseas. Our average tariff rate in the United States is 3.5%, which is substantially lower than many markets. And so we've lost a lot of...
You've answered my question. So you see tariffs as a tool for market access and for onshoring jobs here.
Exactly. It can be used as a tool for revenue. It can be used as a tool.
That's a whole new thing. I mean, your job is trade policy, and if what we're talking about is tariffs for revenue, would you agree with me that that's a tax? That's the tariffs are ultimately paid by the consumers.
Well, taxes, Senator, are an assessment on foreign goods, on the value of foreign goods made by foreign workers in foreign countries, right. And then that exporter has to decide how they're going to allocate. I want to stop here a minute, because when you're using your responsibility on trade policy, I get that. But if a tariff is being used essentially as a negotiating tool on a one-off situation, as these recent tariffs on Mexico and Canada were, that's a tax, and it's beyond trade policy. It's the president trying to use that power for leverage. Do you think that the proper use of the congressionally extended authority to the president in national emergencies to impose tariffs apply to a national emergency that we have with Canada? Yes.
Okay, I don't. Do you think that there should be a heads up to an ally like Canada that we're contemplating doing something that's going to have a big impact on the USMCA, where we negotiated that in good faith and by and large all parties are in compliance?
Certainly. And in this instance, the president talked about this, I think, in late November and talked about it for several months.
We've been hearing, I'm with Senator Hassan, this has a huge impact on Vermont. We do most of our trade with Canada, and we had a roundtable, and I just asked various businesses, and we had over 150 businesses on this call, and it was everyone from a very successful construction company, PC Construction, to a woman who gets yarn and does weaving, and organic farmers. Every one of these people was just stunned at the implications that these out-of-the-blue threats of tariffs were going to have on their businesses. I mean, don't people deserve a heads up in Vermont before they get whacked with what appears to be a tariff for an individual objective of President Trump?
So Senator, the president was very transparent about this for several months, that he was contemplating doing this specifically because of the fentanyl and illegal migration issues. And so I think it is very important for people to understand what might be coming, especially when the president's going to use his congressionally delegated responsibilities to execute the laws.
No, I appreciate you and your candor, but Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, I do have concern about the abuse of the delegation of tariff authority to a president to be used in national emergency, to be used in one-off negotiating tactics. And I do believe that's a tax. And I don't think that any president should be able to unilaterally impose a tax. And one of the things I'm increasingly worried about is the abdication of our own Article I authority and weakening this branch of government for any president to totally disregard the people's branch. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.